You're not a USPSA Grandmaster level shooter, and that's okay. However, if you own a gun, you should probably know how to shoot it. You can become a very competent shooter quickly without spending a lot of time in the range and be better than 90% of gun owners. It's not as hard as you think. In this video, we're gonna talk about dry fire, what it is, how to get started, and how easy it is to vastly improve your skills. Dry fire training is rehearsing with the gun without live ammunition. Rehearsing with the gun in preparation for shooting on the range, or rehearsing with the gun in preparation for dealing with a violent confrontation. It's very good at improving your gun handling skills. First time I started dry fire training was after I turned 21 and I bought my first handgun. I went out and bought snap caps because I thought if I don't have something to cushion the firing pin, I'm gonna destroy it, and that is a fallacy and not true. And so I used snap caps until I broke them, which didn't take very long, and then after that I tried to use an empty shell, but that just got stuck in the chamber and I had to go to a friend to help get it out. So I started dry firing a long time ago and I didn't really know what I was doing and it didn't go very well. So the difference between the average gun owner who dry fires and a high-level competitive shooter is going to be both the quality and the quantity of the dry fire that they do. So any dry fire is good, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. But if you want to become very proficient at shooting, then you need to have a high quality with great intentionality about the type of training you're doing, and then the larger quantity, both the frequency and then the amount of time you spend doing it needs to be relatively large. So skill is like money in the bank. You work, you save money, you don't know how much money you're gonna need. If your car breaks down, you don't know if you're gonna have to spend 500 bucks to fix the brakes, or you're gonna have to spend $15,000 on a new car. The more money you have, the easier it is to solve that problem. And the same thing with skill. You don't know how good of a shooter you need to be on the day. You don't know how good you're gonna need to be to compete in that competition, or how good you're gonna need to be to deal with a violent confrontation. The more skill you have, the more essentially money saved up that you have, and the easier it will be to solve the problem. You don't necessarily need a ton of skill. There's plenty of people with just a small level of familiarity with guns that have solved violent confrontations and saved themselves and the people they care about. There's also people with guns who've got themselves in and over their head and they died or ended up in a wheelchair or something like that because they didn't have enough skill deposited in the bank. So to get started, all you need is your gun, and a holster is preferred, and then a couple of magazines, and then some sort of target. The target doesn't have to be complex. It could be an outlet on a wall. It could be a can of Coke. It could be whatever it is. It just is some reference point. The whole point is to do something and not nothing, and don't overcomplicate it. Figure out what is reasonable for you to get going and to do it consistently. So maybe it's once a week and you schedule that time. Maybe it is once a day. Maybe it is every other day. Whatever makes sense for you, do that. It also doesn't have to be an extended period of time. It doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes or even 20 minutes. Dry firing for 2 to 4 minutes a day can be very effective. So one of the important things with dry fire training is safety. So don't take that for granted. Make sure you have a system that ensures you do not have live ammunition in your training environment. So that is the biggest key, is to be purposeful about your training, separate live ammunition, put it in a different room, put it somewhere else where you can't mix it together, and don't assume that you are smart enough that you're not gonna have any trouble, because lots of people have shot TV sets and walls, and unfortunately there's been catastrophic events where people have shot friends and family members thinking they're doing dry fire training, and it leads to catastrophic results. So don't be an arrogant jackass and think that you are better and smarter than the system, and submit yourself to a system that works to ensure that you do dry fire in a safe, competent way. A place to start would just be pick 4 different skills. So you could do something like with your gun, pick your target, and just like from the ready position, aim in. And just working vision, aiming in, okay? And you're seeing, since I have a red dot, I'm gonna be focusing on looking through my dot and focusing on the target. And I'm just gonna be working from the ready, seeing my target. And I might do that for 30 to 60 seconds. The next thing I can do is I can start working from the holster. And I can work draws. When I do this, I'm gonna pull the trigger 3, 4, 5 times. These are called air triggers. I got that from Bob Vogel. He's a world-class shooter, and that's one of the ways that he worked trigger control and trigger movement. Again, I'm gonna do that for 30 to 60 seconds. And then I'm gonna pick multiple targets. And so I'm going to aim in on one target, transition to the other target, right? aim in on another target, transition to the other target. And I might work 3 targets or 4 targets. I might work targets that are close, targets that are farther away. And again, 30 to 60 seconds. And then the final thing I'm gonna do is gonna be some sort of reload drill. And I can do this off a table, or I can do this out of a pocket, or I can do it out of a mag pouch. But I'm gonna be aimed in, and I'm gonna release my mag, get my mag, and keep going. So just working reloads. And you can work a reload with a mag in the gun. So I can be here and work that reload and grab that new mag. If I don't want to have to bend down each time and pick that up, I can just hit my magazine release button and not drop that mag out. So I can be here, break the shot, 1, 2, release the mag, insert a mag, 1, 2, right? And again, I'm just gonna work the reload 30 to 60 seconds. So one of the things with this is in the beginning, as a newer shooter, just go with like 50% effort, 50% pace. And then as you gain skill, add more effort, add more pace, push to 75, push to 90, 99, and see where your breaking point is, and then scale it back, and then continue to push that over and over and over again. And hopefully that breaking point, that 99%, will move over time. Simple dry fire practice like this that takes 2 minutes, 4 minutes a day. The more often you do it, the better you'll be, but doing a little bit will be better than nothing. So you could just do this once a week. You also could do it every day. So you could be like, I mean, it's about the same amount of time it takes to brush your teeth. So you could brush your teeth, floss your teeth. Most of you probably don't floss, and you should. Instead of the 15 seconds that you use to brush your teeth, you should actually brush your teeth for 2 minutes, take another minute or 2 to floss your teeth, and another 2 to 4 minutes to dry fire. And now you have like an 8 to 10 minute chunk of stuff that is probably the most productive things you're gonna do in your entire life during that day. So do that. This does not take a lot of effort, and it is just consistency and familiarity. What we just talked about was like for the new shooter who wants to become more familiar and be better, that little bit of effort, that 4 minutes a day or 4 minutes a week, again, is gonna make you better than 90% of gun owners out there. So if you've done that for a while, rather than doing it for 2 minutes or 4 minutes a day, you might jump to 10 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes a day, or you might go to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes a week. So the next thing you might look at is what additional equipment you can get to make your dry fire more effective or practice more things. One of the first things you can get to help your training would be a shot timer. So a shot timer, you can set a par time. A par time will have a start time and an end time. So the start time is when you start the task, and then you're trying to race the beep for the end time. And that will give you kind of an objective measure to evaluate where you are at. One of the things that I like are clear magazines that are dedicated to dry fire. So I like these because it's very obvious that they're not my regular carry mags. And so I have these. A mag pouch would be something to have, and then also dummy rounds. So inert training rounds. Some people will get them that are heavier, so they're the weight of a normal cartridge, because they want to feel the same weight that they would feel on a live fire gun, and that's fine, you can do that, but they also are just helpful for rehearsing malfunction clearance drills and reloads and other things. And then the final thing you can get would be to upgrade your targets. There's a variety of companies that make fancy scaled targets, so you could have a regular USPSA target, or you could have different size scaled targets that are basically mimicking distance shooting without actually having the distance. So to get a more intentional and intense workout, you don't have to create it on your own, and you don't have to put out a lot of effort. You can just go to your computer, open up Google, and type in dry fire workout and see what comes up. There is on here a whole bunch of fun and interesting stuff. So there is a pistoltraining.com dry fire routine. I just open that tab, look at that. And there is a blog post by Todd Green that talks about, basically there's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day of the week, progressing over different weeks, super detailed, and you can follow that. There are, if I go to videos, there is a YouTube video from JJ Rakaza.
So now that we covered the
at the top
basics of dry fire as a new shooter,
that he's gonna go through important drills. So you could sit there, if you like watching videos, watch the video, study it, write down what he says to do, and go do it. There's a Ben Steger 15-minute dry fire routine on the Brian Enos forum, right? So Brian Enos forum is a competitive shooting forum, and here is a Ben Steger 15-minute dry fire program workout. So there's the big long post with a video linked in it. showing what that is. So figuring out a specific program that is built by world-class shooters is not hard to find. It's all free, it's open source. You just need to go to Google and do it. You can take notes, you can print it off, and then just follow the program. The best dry fire workout is the workout you actually do. So say you did kind of the basic simple thing we outlined that's like a couple minutes a day, brushing your teeth, flossing, dry fire, and then you've kind of researched a little bit, you've gone to Google, you've done some sort of program for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and you want to get even better and you want to put more effort into it. At that point, you probably need to look to competitive shooting. You need to look to something like USPSA. Again, go out to Google, find the local club, go to some matches. Once you do that, you probably want to hang out with those kind of people. Who are the type of shooters that you want to be, and go hang out with them. And then you can go get books. So like I have some books here, Saul Kirsch's Perfect Practice. I have Refinement and Repetition by Steve Anderson, and then Practical Shooting Training by Ben Steger and Joel Park, right? So all of those are books, some of them newer, some of them older, that have been used by people for a long time to get really good at shooting. And they basically, here's a program, go do it. And if you want to put the effort in where you're gonna spend hours researching, reading, and studying, and then you're like, and I'm gonna dedicate 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, an hour and a half a day to training to get better, then you should go do that. But if you have that level of motivation, watching this stupid YouTube video is probably not gonna help you. You've probably already put that energy into it. You're already shooting competitively, you're already buying books, you're already looking at various forums, you're already doing all of that stuff, and God bless you, go and do that and be a USPSA Grandmaster and save the world. Dry fire training is relatively easy. It doesn't take a ton of initiative, it just takes a little bit of discipline. And so if you do a little bit, that is better than doing nothing at all. And if you do a little bit, you can be better than 90% of gun owners out there. If you know someone who's a new gun owner and they want to get better, share this video with them. If you or someone you know wants to understand concealment better, then check out this video. Multiple shots every single time, multiple trigger pulls. That's something I got from, what's his name? Bob Vogel. So I got that from Robert Vogel, Bob Vogel. I got that from Ben Vogel, who's a world-class